prime time on the top game, it's a fine line. Man in the match, that's David, he's the main guy, keep a close eye. Make sure you don't make no wrong play, cause I'm with Jose and Andre. When Cyrus comes to walk in, you better know that you are watching Premier League. David, tell him what time we on, what time we on. Time. Let me hear you say Premier League. David, tell him what time we on, what time we on. Time.
Hello and welcome to Premier League Primetime Season 3, Episode 3. It's been a while. It's honestly been a while. We've all had things to do, whether it's school or other things, but I am back. And I am back, of course, with the co-host, Andre, Sirius, Jose. Yep, I'll ask. How are we all doing on this fine day or night, wherever you are? I've missed it. I've missed it. I honestly have. So let's just get right into this. But before we do, of course, big shout out, and I want to give a warm welcome, of course, to Walid, the man, the myth, the legend himself, for joining the Premier League Primetime family. Big up yourself. Very happy he's here with us. He's going to be a very, very important part of what we do, both on set and off set. So I'm very pleased to have him around. And now getting straight into the sides and the fixtures, of course, starting with Sirius, who has not been around since August 1st. So I'm delighted to see this lad here. Sirius, starting with you and starting with Arsenal, we take a look at their fixtures that they've been playing their past 5 games. A win against Aston Villa, a loss against Manchester United, and then wins against Brentford, Tottenham, and Liverpool. Scores and ratings from Mikel Arteta and players that have stood out to you both on a positive side and a negative side.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good season so far. I'm super happy we won today as well. I think honestly, like, if we didn't lose to Man U, I'd say 10 out of 10. I'd give it 9.5. Standout players for me, you have to give Saliba, honestly, Ben White, Xhaka. Xhaka's been amazing.
Oh, he's been amazing, bro. He's arguably been your best player with Gabriel Jesus, probably.
And it's kind of weird the where Arteta's playing him this season, but it's working out. He has a couple goals and assists to his name as well. I think Arteta gets a 10 out of 10. I think he's been great. I've nothing really bad to say about him. Honestly, I think we've only had one weak link, I'd say, this season. It's not like he's been horrible. I think he's just been okay. I think Gabriel has had some mistakes in him this season, which didn't happen as much last season. But, that's like it's not like he's been bad or anything. He just hasn't what I think he can be. But besides that, it's been really good, and I'm really happy.
Like, you look at this Arsenal side, right, and you just see, in comparison to seasons gone by, you just see this new, young, hungry sort of energy, the will and desire to impress the manager. But it looks as if these players are able to hold that badge that they're playing for on the crest of their shirt. And because we originally said at the beginning of the season, right, with Arsenal that, top 4, we need to get into the top 4. Just looking at how the season's going now, would you say that top 4 is just like a minimum? Would you see yourself as title contenders, title challengers to the likes of Manchester City? Do you see Arsenal as a genuine threat to winning the title this season? Or do you think you're just not quite there yet?
No, I don't think we're quite there yet. I think it's going to go to City easily. I do expect top 4. I think now that we're in like such a prominent position, I think if we don't get top 4, it'll be extremely disappointing.
100%. Of course, next, on the opposite side, Aston Villa. Jose, taking a look at these fixtures here, losing 2-1 to Arsenal, a draw against Manchester City, a win against Southampton, another draws against Leeds and Nottingham Forest, and scores and ratings for Steven Gerrard and players that stood out to you both on a positive side and a negative side.
Yeah, they've been all right. Very up and down. They've got some great results in there, and they've got some kind of more disappointing ones. I'd probably give them a 8 out of 10. I think their draw with Man City was very impressive, and their victory was as well. I would say if for standout players, Jacob Ramsey and Ashley Young. Ashley Young's really surprised me, but he's been really good, really consistent this season. I think he's their highest rated player overall this season so far. And then for players who could be better, I would say Bednarek, Coutinho, both underperforming a little bit this season so far. But yeah.
Yeah, Coutinho was one right on my mind, and they got him for 20 million. It seemed like just kind of like a no-brainer sort of signing. 20 million for Coutinho is nothing. But it just doesn't seem like that he's really hit the ground running this season. He's been thrown in the middle in the number 10, then he's thrown out wide. Even seen him drifting around as a false nine, who knows? And just on Steven Gerrard, right? And I know there's plenty of question marks we can ask of him as a manager, right? Do you think Steven Gerrard has what it takes in his managerial locker to manage all these players that he has at his disposal? Because, let's not get it twisted. Steven Gerrard has plenty of players to work with at his disposal. Do you think he will turn this around, or do you think he just doesn't have it in him to work with these players that he has right now?
I mean, I think the best way for him to be better is for them to get the season. I think they're not in the drop zone right now. So I think that they're not. I think that they were always going to finish mid-table this season. So I think if he gets the season, then I think they'll be way better next season. So I just think that if he can ride it out this season, he can learn a lot. He can learn how to deal with the players that he has. This team can gel, because I know they had a few new signings this season. I think that they can be a lot better next season.
That's fair. Into the next side, Bournemouth. And Andre, taking a look at these fixtures that we have here, they haven't lost. They've been unbeaten in the past 5 games. A draw with Wolves, a win against Nottingham Forest, draws against Newcastle and Brentford, both not easy games, and a win against Leicester. Scores and ratings for Gary O'Neill, the interim manager, and standout players both on a positive and negative perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, no loss in their last 5 matches. They sit above Liverpool right now. I think they're 8th. They're only 1 place behind Brighton. They're 3 points off United. So Bournemouth have been on a really upward trajectory since the sacking of Scott Parker, which, the entire football world questioned. But Gary O'Neill, someone, a name that, I didn't know. Did you? I don't know if you guys knew who Gary O'Neill was.
No.
He seems to be doing a job, a really good job. I think there were differences with Parker and the board because of a lot of stuff dealing with the transfer market and ambition. And I think I look at that Bournemouth team, and to me, it doesn't exactly look like a Premier League side, yet they sit in 8th. So Gary O'Neill is doing a pretty good job. I'd probably give him like an 8 or a 9 since he's come in.
That's fair.
Yeah. Some standout players, under Parker, outside of that win against Villa, they went a few matches where they weren't scoring, but under Gary O'Neill, Billing seems to be getting on the end of a lot of their chances. I think he has 3 goals right now. So Billing's doing well. Tavernier's doing decent and creating. I think Neto, the Brazilian keeper in goal, is doing a pretty good job.
Hasn't conceded too many goals when we look at someone like Bournemouth and their own expectations. He hasn't conceded.
No, they haven't, and that's 2 clean sheets in those 5 matches that we mentioned. So yeah, they're doing pretty good, I think, for what they have. I just wonder if there is if there is like an ultimatum on that. I wonder if it's going to stop, because I think it'll be easy to see them start to
definitely
get the results that they have.
They're in the honeymoon period in the interim bounce, we can say, and on this, right, we see he's been unbeaten in the last 5 games, right? And let's assume that he's able to keep this up for a little more time. Do you think that it would be a justifiable idea to just say, stop the search for a new manager, just give him the job on a permanent basis? If not, who do you think would be a good ideal candidate to take over for Gary O'Neill?
Probably Thomas Tuchel. No, I don't know. I think they've just I think they have to strengthen in January if they really want to be like a solid Premier League team like they were before, because I think they're riding their luck right now. If Gary O'Neill has a vision that aligns with the board and getting the right people in, and he seems competent, then yeah, he might be the man for the job. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. They've got to find someone who's very ambitious with the players they're going to bring in. Because let's face it, the rest of the league still views Bournemouth as a small team. It's a stadium of 11,000 capacity. So they've got to do their work when it comes to scouting.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what will happen with Bournemouth to come. Next, we have Brentford. Serious over to you. Let's taking a look at their fixtures. They've sort of been, it started off really well, and now it's just sort of going downhill just based on the fixtures. A draw against Palace. They did get a thumping 5-2 win against Leeds. Losing to Arsenal by 3-0. A draw against Bournemouth, and a 5-1 thumping loss at Newcastle. Scores and ratings for Thomas Frank, and standout players for, in your opinion, both on the negative and positive perspectives.
I'd probably give it like a 5. Like, can't lose 5-1 to Newcastle. That's pretty disappointing. They did basically do the same to the Leeds, though. I think honestly, I was looking, they have 1 goal in the last 3 games. I think if Ivan Toney isn't, putting the goals in, they really have no one else so far. I think Ivan Toney's been really good. Especially these 5 games recovering, he's scored a decent amount. I think he had a hat trick against Leeds, if I'm correct.
Yeah, he did.
But he needs help. He needs support. The other 2 strikers, Buemo and Wisa, need to help him a little bit. They have 2 goals each, but I think he needs more help. So, besides that, it's not horrible by Brentford. I'd probably give him 5, manager 5.
They right. And I think you make a good point here, because when you look at just their clinical strikers, like I think Mbumo and Wisa, they kind of do like sort of like a Firmino function where their movement off the ball is very effective. They're not exactly the most clinical goal scorers, although that would be kind of hypocritical because Firmino actually has been, I think he is Liverpool's top goal scorer this year anyways, but he does more of they do more of the float around, try and more or less just sacrifice themselves for the teams, not exactly just a pure goal scorer. And I think you make a great point there. I think that if they want to get the goals going, he needs help. Ivan Toney can't do it by himself. And now into the next side, which for me have arguably been the most impressive in the Premier League at the moment, Brighton. They have been utterly impressive this season. Of course, we look at the 4 games that they played, 2 with Potter, 2 with De Zerbi. Of course, with Graham Potter losing 2-1 to Fulham, and then his final game for Brighton winning 5-2 against Leicester. And then out he goes off to Chelsea, and then Roberto De Zerbi comes in. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. From, I think he was the former Sassuolo manager, comes in against Liverpool right away, a 3-3 draw, and only losing 1-0 to Tottenham in that final game there. Jose, scores and ratings for Brighton, I'll just say overall, and standout players both on a negative perspective and a positive perspective.
Yeah, for Brighton overall, I'd probably give them a 7 out of 10 for this period. I think for Potter, I would give him an 8 out of 10. And for De Zerbi, I would give him probably a 6 out of 10. I think I'm going to talk a little more about De Zerbi because I think I watched that Liverpool game, and I thought that they were really good in that game, and they were unlucky to concede. But I think that for De Zerbi, it's just a matter of can he maintain the momentum that Potter brought. So I think if he can, then Brighton can still have a really good season without Potter, because I think that they have the players to do so. And I really like Trossard. I was gonna highlight him as one of the best players in the league so far this season. I think
he's been brilliant.
Him and along with McAllister have been I think Brighton's best players in my opinion. In terms of players who can do better, I would say Lewis Dunk probably hasn't been up to his usual standards this season. But yeah, did I rate De Zerbi? Yeah, I rated everyone.
100%. And of course, before we continue on with Brighton, reminding me of the players, of course, hearts and condolences go out to Mwepu. Of course, he had announced his retirement due to his heart condition. So, hearts and condolences from us to Mwepu. It's really heartbreaking, with obviously no pun intended there, but 24 years of age. He had a very good season for Brighton last year, actually, if you just look at some of the games that he played. I know Sears would actually mention him a lot. That's tough. It really is to see such a young player like that just have to be forced to retire due to a medical condition as something as severe as that. But going back to Roberto De Zerbi, because I was looking at them specifically in that game against Liverpool and in that game against Tottenham, right? And just in those two games, I could see that Brighton went out and they could have gotten just not literally anyone, but they could have gone after just a number of different kinds of managers with different systems and playing styles and philosophies. But I thought they specifically wanted this manager. And I can already see just in his style of play, the way he wants to move the ball forward, progress the ball forward, for the formation and tactics, very similar to Graham Potter. Do you think that this appointment was Brighton going in the right direction, or do you think maybe there was someone better that they could have gotten?
I mean, I think it was them looking around in the market and saying who can we get that's not gonna mess up what we have going. And I think that's what they look for, and that's what they got. I think that maybe there was someone better. Maybe there was someone who could get more points, but I think that for this team and this style of play that Potter had, this was a good appointment.
100%. Funnily enough, I did see a few news sources linking Ollie to the job to the Brighton.
Oh. Well, that wouldn't have worked.
No, it wouldn't have. He probably would have brought Maguire with him. They could, if they want. Next, Andre, over to you, and we are talking about Andre's favorite team, Chelsea, of course. Taking a look at the 4 games that they have played, starting off with, I know Andre's been heartbroken and still is that Thomas Tuchel is sacked from Chelsea. Taking a look at the 2 games, losing 2-1 to Southampton, that was just they were very poor that game, Chelsea. And then a win 2-1 against West Ham, before that 1-0 loss to Dinamo Zagreb in the Champions League, which saw him getting the sack. And then in comes Graham Potter, and 2 wins straight away. 2-1 win against Crystal Palace. Conor Gallagher, how ironic that was for him to score that brilliant goal right at the end, and a 3-0 win against Wolves. Scores and ratings for Chelsea over this 4-game period, and standout players for you both on a negative and positive spectrum.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to see a full game of Chelsea under Potter, unfortunately, but those results look good. Their attack already looks better. Statistically, it is. They're keeping possession in a way that isn't boring like it was under that one guy we won't mention. So some impressive stuff from Chelsea. Aubameyang, I think, how many goals does he have for Chelsea right now? I know he has at least 1. Mm-hmm. How many do you know?
He scored 1 in the Champions League as well. Yeah. It both ties against Milan, actually. And just really quickly, serious, to seeing what Aubameyang's doing, does that change any of your thoughts on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? I wanted to get your thoughts on that. I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
No, we have a better striker. I'm totally okay with him being in Chelsea.
Anyway, so you heard it from Sirius. Back to Andre. Thoughts on players that have been standing out to you, both positively and negatively. Just continuing on with that.
They probably do have the better striker, but I can't believe, it is cool that Aubameyang looks really happy to be at whatever club he's been at. But every time he switches, it feels like it's his right club. He's been so excited for every club. I don't know if he's just really good at faking it, but it's funny. I wonder if Aubameyang will finally be the number 9 to take Chelsea forward. Because he might
be for the short term. I wouldn't say for the long term, because he's only he has a 2-year contract with an option to extend for another year. Strong rumors and things from Fabrizio Romano talking about Christopher Nkunku, saying that they're going to trigger that release clause in January, which I think that'd be a good signing for them. But I still think Chelsea just need more like an out and out sort of number 9, not like a Lukaku kind of player, but someone like an Aubameyang, where he can go to the left, he can go to the right, he can play through the middle. He can play in all 3 of those positions, but he is a natural striker.
In a year or 2, there'll be Aubameyang and Mbappe up front. That's gonna happen.
Any other players that have stood up to
you? Whenever I've seen Gallagher, he's impressed me. He's not one of the players that they bring back from a loan and he keeps quiet. He's really not. I think he might actually have a place at Chelsea. I think it was the goal he scored where he got the nutmeg. That was so good. That was one of the better goals I've seen this season. So Gallagher has looked good to me. I think Sterling has been mixed. I'm sure Jose will probably say he's been horrible.
Don't mention Raheem Sterling on this
Dude,
show.
that guy has been so bad recently. Everything that I said has come true. Literally. Literally, he left City and he's shit now. Like who would have thought? Who would have thought? Me. I'm who would have thought. All right, go. Sorry, back to you guys.
Well, Sterling definitely is not in the best format at this current moment.
Yeah, he's not, but I think he's had a mixed start.
He was doing better in the beginning. He was trying to do it all on his own, but it seems as if the others are now taking up that mantle and are actually stepping up, which his levels have dropped a bit. But I think a few players that I think I need to highlight. For me, I think if there's one player that stood out for me, it has to be for me. If we're not counting João Cancelo, I think the best right back in the league, it's 100% Reece James. Reece James for me signing that new 5-year deal. I know Jose many times saying if he doesn't really want English players at Real Madrid, but one he would take is Reece James. I think he's a phenomenal young player, and he's honestly, I think he could be at Chelsea for years upon years upon years upon years.
Does he start for your England team at the World Cup, Davis?
He should.
Starts for mine. Oh my God, he's so much better than Trent. So much better than.
I don't think there's at the moment he's not really been that great. As I'm saying as an understatement. But players who struggle for me, I think he's very young and he has that 75 million price tag on him. I think Wesley Fofana hasn't been amazing, really hasn't really lit up the world, but he's still very young. Unlike that other center back that was received an 80 million pound payment. He's still very young. He still has loads of years to grow, and I think we'll see a very good player there. But he's just, at the moment he hasn't really hit the ground running just yet. But his time will come. And Mason Mount's been just really hit and miss this season. Like there's been somewhat of a resurgence under Potter, but I just don't think that he's really been the Mason Mount as we know he can be. But a few questions on Graham Potter. I just wanted to just throw out to all of you. We've all seen how amazing of a job he's done at Brighton. Do you think that Graham Potter has just the managerial know-how and the experience to succeed at a club like Chelsea, where we know that Chelsea do not have a lot of patience for managers when they come in, they don't give them all the time in the world. I mean, we saw it happen to Tuchel more or less after just coming in, had more or less a full season, and then just August and September, and then he was gone. So do you think Graham Potter will be able to succeed where in the long term where some of these managers have failed?
I almost don't think it's possible to define success at Chelsea in a long-term aspect. I think Chelsea are going to bring in different managers. They're almost ahead of the game in picking managers before they're certified world-class managers and just getting quick success, which is what they've done for years. I think Potter will be the same. I think they'll hit quick success with him within the next 2 years. And then he'll eventually be out the door. I think it'll be kind of Chelsea where Potter is viewed as world-class by everybody. That's what I think will happen.
You could say that it's, I mean, there is new ownership now. So I mean, like I know it looks like they got rid of Tuchel after 2 years, but new ownership usually wants their own manager. I mean, Tuchel wasn't hired by Todd Bowley. This guy is. So I think that it actually might be possible for him. I mean, maybe they'll change, maybe they won't, but maybe they'll change their plan and maybe they'll stick with him for the long term. I think he could do really well. I think that Chelsea have a really similar squad to Brighton. I think that they've got more strength in their defensive players than in their attacking players. I think that will play in a similar way that Brighton did. So I think that Potter's tactics could actually do really, really well with Chelsea's team the way it is now.
100%. Sirius, what about you? What are your thoughts on Graham Potter? Do you think he has what it takes to succeed at Chelsea?
He might, but at the end of the day, even if he wins the Champions League the next year, he'll probably get sacked. So, but I had a thing with Sterling. So, do you think Rashford's had a good season so far?
In that respect, it's been hit and miss. Struggled in the beginning, but then he's sort of come to life. He's been rejuvenated, and then he's dropped off just a little bit. But overall, it's been more good than bad. And I like.
I think well, let me answer this as well because I know you're looking at me. So I think that Rashford has done a good job in playing a role that he's not fit to play. I think that he's not a striker at all, but he's been playing striker and he's been playing it to the best of his ability. So you see the types of goals he's scoring are just all Bruno playing a long ball or playing a pass through the line, and then he runs onto it. He never plays with his back to goal because he's terrible at it. So I think that he's done a good job at playing a role that he's not very good at playing. And then when he's played left wing, I think he's looked better. Sterling, on the other hand, has had a comparable season to Rashford so far, I think. But I think Rashford has had slightly better.
That's fair. And last question on Chelsea before we move into Crystal Palace. Andre, the ultimate question for you: was the sacking of Thomas Tuchel justified in your opinion? Yes or no?
Yeah, it was. Well, there's no point to Chelsea. Okay, Graham Potter has blown up since moving from Brighton to Chelsea, like completely. Personally, I don't think that was his decision. I think Chelsea made him do that. Honestly, I think they're like, you kind of look dumb. You don't look like a real.
He's already grown a beard. He's literally already like growing a full beard now.
Beard. He got the fade. He looks, I mean, like a different person. He looked like an elementary school PE coach. Now he looks like a manager. I honestly think this was Chelsea saying, "Hey,
elementary PE coach.
You don't look."
Hopefully they don't get a mix with Ollie though. Hopefully they don't start calling him Ollie. Anyways, getting into Crystal Palace. Series over to you. Taking a look at their games, draws against Brentford and Newcastle respectively, losing to Chelsea at home and then winning against Leeds at home. Scores and ratings for Patrick Vieira and standout players for you both on a negative side and on a positive side.
Yeah, not horrible at all. I'd give it like a 6. Losing against Chelsea, I thought they actually weren't bad at all. They, former Crystal Palace player on loan, Gallagher, scored right at the end, so it's pretty unlucky. I think Zaha's been good this season, maybe not scoring as much the last couple of games. I think Eduardo's been scoring last couple of games, so it's good that someone else is finally helping Zaha. That's something that has always been Crystal Palace's problem, especially with their strikers like Benteke, other strikers just not being able to score as much.
If you're playing against Arsenal, that's a guaranteed. He'd be scoring at least one goal, at least one.
Yeah, for some reason, him and Ayew always have amazing games. Thankfully, he's now gone from Crystal Palace because that was pissing me off. But yeah, overall, it's just what to expect from Crystal Palace. To be honest, I think Patrick Vieira is doing as much as he can. I think he's trying to play a game maybe Crystal Palace, players don't have the quality for, but he's trying. So I think that, the results aren't bad. 1-1, 0-0, 2-1 against Chelsea, winning against Leeds. It's not bad at all.
I agree. And a player that I just wanted to quickly throw out who's just been looking more and more impressive to me. When I look at Joakim Anderson at center back, he reminds me of a younger and I'd say probably a more physical version of Victor Lindelof. Like when I look at him on the ball, he's very good on the ball. Technically, he's a very good player as well. And I can see the comparisons, but when I see him he's good in the air as well. And he's not afraid to make a challenge or two. He's sort of fearless in that sense. So Joakim Anderson's been a standout player for me. Next, we have Everton and Frank Lampard's really he's done a job, you have to say, Jose, in making sort of a resurgence with this side. Just looking at the fixtures that they've had, draws against Leeds and Liverpool, a win against West Ham, a win against Southampton, and losing 2-1 to Manchester United. Scores and ratings for Frank Lampard and players have stood out to you both on the positive and negative side.
Yeah, he's done a good job. He's definitely done a better job than I think any of us were predicting at the beginning of the season. But I've liked what he's done. I think he's shored up the defense, which was necessary. For standout players, I would definitely have to pick out Iwobi. It's been great. 100%. I would say Pickford has been great, has been good as well, and Tarkowski.
He's been played well this season.
I think Connor Cody could be better. Otherwise, him and maybe Tom Davis. I don't know if Tom Davis has played in a minute, but he wasn't looking that good either. For ratings, I would give them probably 8 out of 10 for this run of games. I think it's pretty good. Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, for me, I think there's a huge player that I think that you've missed. I think for me, Amadou Onana, their new signing, has lit it up. He in that game that against Manchester United, he was one of the few players that actually terrified me in terms of physicality and Manchester United Casemiro on the pitch. This kid's ability to not only just not his physical abilities, athletic ability, but his footballing brain to more or less just nick the ball off of someone and then can just see the vision to play that forward pass, can play it wide, can carry the ball forward. He was instrumental in that Iwobi goal. If it wasn't for Onana, I think he's had a very, very good start to life at Everton. I think he's a player to keep an eye on. And also I'd say Anthony Gordon, he's been somewhat hit and miss, but there's been more good than bad, I'd say.
Yeah, he's dropped off a little bit recently. However, kind of as his team's form has gone up, his form has gone a little down.
Definitely. In next we have Fulham, and Andre, looking at this Fulham side, right? It started off so well, and it just looks like it's now slowly but surely starting to drop a little bit. Winning 2-1 against Brighton, and a loss against Tottenham, a win against Nottingham Forest, and losses against Newcastle and West Ham. Scores and ratings from Marco Silva and standout players, both negative and positive. And actually, wait, that reminds me, speaking of players, a quick question asked of Sirius. What are your thoughts on Arsenal legend Willian returning to London and playing for Fulham in the Premier League? Excited to see an Arsenal legend back in London?
Yeah, I'm excited to see him play. I'm just glad he did the right thing with his contract, so I respect it.
That's very fair. But Andre, back to you. Scores and ratings from Marco Silva and standout players, in your opinion, on a negative and positive spectrum.
Yeah, I was going to say that there was a brief period, I think, before they versed us at Tottenham, where they looked like they were able to compete with every side they were going up against. But since that loss, they had their brief one against Nottingham, but since that loss, it's not looked as great for Fulham. I think they remind me of the old shaky sort of Fulham that I'm used to, inconsistent. They still, however, are riding on when they were playing well. I think they sit in 9th, potentially, I think right above Liverpool. So look, they still have time to try to recover that form, find some consistency. But yeah, I have some question marks over Fulham. I'd probably give them, I guess, maybe like a 5 or 6. Yeah, let's give it 6. 9th is very good for Fulham at this stage in the competition. Mitrovic, I think, has dropped off a little bit. He's still, in terms of just statistically with his goals and he's still the same old Mitrovic, showing a lot of fight and sort of spearheading that team into any success that they have had.
That's very true. And one player that I actually do want to mention, Andreas Pereira, Jose preseason Pirlo. He's somehow just come to life now at Fulham, just a little bit. Any quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, he's looked all right. I don't know if we can be too harsh on Fulham for this period of games. I think that they've won the games that you would expect them to win, and they've lost the games you would expect them to lose. So I think it's been very average, which I think we're criticizing just because they started so well. But I also think that Mitrovic's decline has been more on those around him than him, because I think he relies a lot on balls into the box.
I agree with that 100%. Now, next, into Leicester, or no, not into Leicester, into Leeds. I almost skipped a team there. Serious, into Leeds. Now we look at their past 4 games. A draw against Everton, a loss against Brentford, 0-0 to Aston Villa, and a 2-1 loss to Crystal Palace. Scores and ratings for Jesse Marsh and players that stood out to you, both on a positive side and negative side.
Yeah, results not very good, especially losing against Brentford 5-2. I think Rodrigo, he's back, but it kind of sucks because he was doing so well. He had 4 goals, I think 6 games, 5 games, something like that. And then he got injured. He dislocated his shoulder. So that was pretty unfortunate. Not a good run of form, that's for sure. No wins in the games we're talking about. Losing 5-2 against Brentford. Looking at player ratings over the last couple of games, you see that most of the games the defense had horrible player ratings. A player that stood out for the last 5 games has been Luis Sinisterra. He scored 2 in the last 4 games, I believe. Stepping up. I think we need to expect more from Bamford. He's still waiting for his 100th Premier League goal. And another player I noticed against Brentford had a 1 out of 10 rating is Diego Lorente. So, yeah.
Diego Lorente. Somehow he's getting called up for Spain. Jose, any thoughts on that on Diego Lorente? Actually, question: who would you rather have at center back starting for Spain, Diego Lorente or Eric Garcia? I'm intrigued to know.
Diego Lorente. There's no footballer I hate more than Eric Garcia. But I'll leave it there.
And there you've heard everything you need to know about Eric Garcia. Into the next side, Leicester. Now this side have really struggled this season. Jose, looking at the games that they have, losing 1-0 to Manchester United and losses against Brighton and Tottenham, both batterings 5-2 and then 6-2, and a win against Nottingham Forest at home 4-0, and then losing to Bournemouth by 2-1 after going in front. Scores and ratings for Brendan Rodgers and standout players, both negative and positive.
Yeah, they've been so bad. I thought that they were going to kick on after their 4-0 win, but they did not. For their best players, Madison, definitely. I actually think Daka's been all right as well. He scored a few goals in that period. For worst players, there's the obvious one is Danny Ward, who I think might be the worst goalkeeper I've ever seen play in the Premier League. But really, their whole team has not been playing very well, so I can't pick him out that much.
True. That's very true.
Yeah, for ratings, I would give probably a 2 out of 10 for Brendan Rodgers.
That's very true. And you look at Brendan Rodgers, right? And in your opinion, how close do you think he is to getting this?
I honestly think, look, I'm very much in favor of not sacking managers and letting them get through their periods of weakness. I think that he had them playing so well at a time that I'm sure that he can get it back to that. I think he just needs to get Daka playing a little bit more like Vardy, a bit more in the way Jamie Vardy played, and I think that him and Madison can really link up, and I think that they can do a bit more damage.
That's fair enough. I also do think the owners will be more patient with him. I mean, he brought them in.
They have been already. I mean, if it was Chelsea, he'd be gone. He'd be gone 2 months ago.
100%. He would have been gone ages ago if that were Chelsea. Next, Andre, Liverpool. Another team that have just struggled. Looking at their fixtures, right? A 2-1 win against Newcastle and then draws against Everton and Brighton, respectively, and losing 3-2 to Arsenal at the Emirates. Scores and ratings for Jurgen Klopp and standout players both on a negative side and on a positive side.
Yeah, I'd have to give the team like a 3. They're, massively underperforming. My Arab grandpa has been a supporter of Liverpool for years, and he calls this team the losers because the losers are playing. And it's because I don't think Liverpool fans feel proud of what they're accomplishing at all. It's odd how their squad has gone relatively unchanged. They haven't had big losses, I don't think. But it's all catching up with them. To me, it's a team that just looks like they need to wake up. And you know that they're capable and need to wake up because every time they go down, they tie the game. They just need to immediately start with intensity straight from the start, which they have not. And that's why they're falling behind massively. They're not going to sack Klopp. There's no way. So they need to get behind him. The fans are going to keep supporting Klopp, I think. The players just need to be. They've been humbled and disciplined enough. They need to just wake up and start games the way that they used to. Let's see, positive and negative players. Their defense has been pretty woeful, hasn't it? I still defend Trent, but right now it's very hard to. It's very, very difficult to.
It really is, especially when it came out. I think it was either yesterday or like a few days ago, saying that he just likes to play football. He doesn't like playing in a position, assuming he's talking about right back, even though that's where he's been deployed. But for me, I think him and Mo Salah for me have been arguably the worst players this whole season for them. I think Mo Salah has been dreadful for a lot of the season, because that's not it. Let's not get it twisted. He's been massively underperforming as well. But I think Trent, it's just so visibly noticeable that Salah goes just a bit under the radar. Van Dijk's 100%, definitely not looking like the player that we've seen in the past. Not saying that he's terrible now. He's just not looking like the Van Dijk that we know of. Jordan Henderson, of course, he's dropped off as well. Dropped off massively as well. Darwin Nunez, looking that he's at the moment not really looking like he's 85 million, but I guess we'll see as time goes on. I guess the only really shining lights for me can just come in the form of three players for me: Luis Diaz, Bobby Firmino, and Harvey Elliott. I can't think of anyone else that's been half decent.
I don't know. I mean, I think Elliott's been getting time, but for me, I didn't think I'd like Carvalho, and I think
him as well.
Yeah, I think
he had enough game time though to like really warrant like you've been good, you've been bad.
I think he's been good every time he's on the pitch, and he's getting into that team more. So I truly did not think I'd like Carvalho. I like Carvalho.
He's a good young player.
Yeah,
very good young player.
Yeah, and then Firmino, one of my preseason predictions was like that Firmino, this would be the season where he struggles, where he's kind of found out he's not going to get time. But yeah, he's been the one saving their attack when everybody else has been off form, with the exception of Luis Diaz. Yeah, I think Bobby Firmino has impressed me. He's on a very good run of form. It's going to expire. It's Firmino, but yeah, I think he's been good. Nunez, I think he had it harsh just because everyone was comparing him to Haaland. But I still don't
understand where those comparisons came from.
It was just because they were being transferred at the same time. But I mean, Haaland has been known about for years. Nunez really had one, maybe two good seasons before his big transfer to Liverpool. So it's like we've got to have patience with him. I still think he can hit, maybe 15 goals this season. I still believe in Nunez. I think in a couple of years he'll be hitting figures near to 20 with them along.
I said in the beginning he will score goals, but not because of just his own footballing brain, because regardless, you're still going to have the two wing backs the two outside backs put crosses in the box. So he will score goals.
Yeah,
he definitely will, but it's not going to be him creating things for himself, anything like that. Liverpool, they seriously need to pick up. I mean, they're out of the title race already, I'd say, as of right now. Next, on the other side of things, Manchester City, how good have they been? They've been fabulous. 6-1 against Nottingham Forest. And other than a draw to Villa, wins against Wolves, Manchester United, and Southampton, scores and ratings for Pep Guardiola and standout players to you, negative and positive. And I think the first positive is going to be quite the obvious one.
Yeah, definitely Haaland. He's been amazing for sure. Haaland, Foden, both hat-tricks against Man City. Honestly, I think that they're favorites for sure. I don't think Liverpool's bad. We're the closest to them right now, and I don't think we're going to be challenging them later on in the season. I think they for sure won the Premier League already, if I'm being honest. They just have so many options. Even with Gabriel Jesus leaving, they have just so many options in the attack everywhere. It's crazy to me. I think really Premier League, sure, you win it's good, but I think their side should be on the Champions League. I think that's what they need to win. I think Pep needs to win it without Barca, without Messi. I think that's his next accomplishment. So yeah,
100%. It's something that he has to win now. He has to at this point. I mean, he has now a striker who, in my opinion, will no doubt break the record goal scoring, the highest goal scoring in a single Premier League season. I think it was Andy Cole at 34. He's I think he's at 15 already. So and it's October, mid-October. So he's bound to shatter that record completely. So, I mean, and all these players that you said, also just a player they wanted to point out. I think Manuel Akanji and Nathan Ake have been a revolution this season. When you look at, I've seen those two play more minutes, and John Stones as well. Those three have been playing more minutes this season than the likes of Laporte and Diaz. And I find that very interesting for me, because when Akanji came in, I'm thinking, okay, it's just like a cover for injuries and whatnot. It seems as if, who's going to be partnering Stones, or who's going to be partnering Ake, or who's going to be partnering Akanji. I think that's something just really interesting to note. How well he's gone on in terms of cementing that spot for himself. And Jack Grealish, we've seen more consistent minutes from him. His performances are justifying him starting on that left-hand side of the attack, whether it's Foden on the right, assuming that he does play on the right. But I think he's been all right as well. Now shifting into the red half of Manchester, and to be honest with you, with this run of 4 games, I do have to say there is so much more good than there is bad. Of course, the Manchester derby was a to say it bluntly, a damning statement of where United are and how far that gap is between them and Manchester City. But wins against Leicester, Arsenal, and Everton, only conceding 2 goals in the span of those 3 games. Jose, scores and ratings for Erik ten Hag and Manchester United and standout players on both a positive and a negative for this round of games.
Yeah, I've been very happy. Honestly. I think that we've looked really good. I honestly think that we're better than almost every team in the league at the moment. I think that City and Arsenal have the claim to be better than us, but that's about it. I think that our loss against City we were very shell shocked. I think we thought we were better than we were after beating
I thought
Arsenal.
it was going to be like a 3-1, not a complete utter capitulation.
I basically just think that Arsenal are like way more shit than everyone thinks that they are. So like it made us think that we were better than we were. But it's Man City. What can you do? We probably would have lost had we defended the hell out of it the entire game anyway. So I'm not too concerned with that. I just think if we can continue grinding out these wins, if Varane stays fit, which is a big thing because I think that Varane and Martinez is very different from Lindelof and Martinez.
And even Lindelof's been all right this season. Like
Lindelof's been great. I just think that Varane provides so much leadership that he really needs to stay fit.
100%.
Otherwise, I do worry about our striker. I think Ronaldo has not been good this season overall. Hopefully he can get back to form now, but and then obviously Martial has been injured pretty much the entire season, but he's been great when he's played. Okay, for ratings, I would give Ten Hag an 8 probably, and then for standout players, I would definitely say Lisandro Martinez probably been our best player so far this season.
3rd straight episode.
Yeah. Otherwise, who else has really stood out? Eriksen. Basically, every time we get a win, Eriksen is the one controlling the midfield. Who else can I say? There's been
Anthony debut. He's scored in his 3.
Oh, Anthony, yes, absolutely. He scored a beautiful goal against Arsenal that I was there for and enjoyed.
I'm sure Sirius enjoyed that one as well.
Yeah, sure he did. And then he scored another beautiful goal against Man City, which I also enjoyed, even though we were down 6-1 at the time. But yeah, I think we've been pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Now, next, going to Newcastle, Andre. Now, this is going to be something very interesting. I don't know where Andre's gone. He's gone missing. He's gone full Bruno, not Gamaresh, Bruno Fernandes. Now, looking at these games for Newcastle, losing 2-1 and against Liverpool, and then draws against Crystal Palace and Bournemouth, and wins against Fulham and Brentford. Scores and ratings for Eddie Howe and this Newcastle side, and standout players who both on the positive side and the negative side. And he is gone missing. I don't know where he's gone. Nope, there he is. You're good. Newcastle scores and ratings for Eddie Howe and standout players who positive and negative.
Yeah, I give them about an 8. I think Newcastle, they're really, every time I see whatever team they're playing against, I never think that Newcastle are going in as an underdog. Um, they look like a really solid side that can compete with every team. I think I put them almost on the level of like a Brighton. Like I think they're kind of in and around that area. I expect a top half finish from Newcastle, I think. Standout players, Almiron had that great goal. I don't know if you guys
Been in
saw
great
that.
form.
Yeah, that was really exciting. But yeah, they look. I don't think they've conceded more than 2 goals in a match, in a while. Definitely a lot.
No, in
Yeah,
this run of games, they haven't conceded more than one.
yeah.
No,
I
2. No, yeah,
Yeah,
it was
these
2.
last 5 games, they haven't seen one, and and they have 9 goals in their last 2 games. So Newcastle are clicking really well right now. I'd probably give Eddie Howe like a 7 or an 8. I think. Yeah, power to Newcastle. Defensively, midfield, and offense all look really solid.
I agree. One player that I did just want to just throw out to everyone. Thoughts on Bruno Gamaresh, because he has been a revelation since coming into the side. Just general overall thoughts on how he's been, whether it's his past 5 games or the season. Do you think Bruno Gamaresh will just continue to kick on the way he has been playing?
Yeah, I think so. And I like that Newcastle also play with a lot of aggression in the midfield. That they're good ball winners, and Gimaraes is no exception to that, despite his creative abilities.
100%, I agree. Next, now into Nottingham Forest, and it just seems like they're struggling at the moment. They signed a record 22 players this summer upon their return to the Premier League. And seriously, we take a look at their run of 5 games and 4 straight losses. 6-0 Manchester City, 3-2 Bournemouth, 3-2 to Fulham, 4-0 to Leicester, and a draw against Villa at that end of 5 games. Steve Cooper getting a brand new contract until 2025. Scores and ratings for Steve Cooper, and positive and negatives perspectives on some of the players at Nottingham Forest right now.
Probably like a 2. I wouldn't be good at all. Man City score you can maybe understand. I mean, but you can't lose 4-0 against Leicester. When you're fighting in the Premier League, you can't lose against teams that are also, within your level, that are also struggling. You can't lose 4-0. I think it comes down to the defense. I don't really think it comes down to Dean Henderson. I think the games I've watched, at least he's doing his best. I've seen him save a couple penalties. I think it just really comes down to their defense. Looking at the last couple of games, I think one of their fullbacks, Lodi, he's been getting absolutely shag player ratings, and I mean 3s in all games. I think someone who also has been disappointing is Jesse Lingard. 7 games, 0 goals, 0 assists. Come on now, you're better than that.
Gardino doing another disappearing act as per usual.
So I don't think he should have left West Ham. He was doing well. I don't know why he went to Man U. I don't know what he expected, to be honest. But yeah, it's overall, when you sign that many players, some maybe you have a little bit of quality, you think that it can all work out, but there's also things like chemistry, getting in, going to the Premier League. A lot of players weren't from the Premier League, adapting to the English lifestyle, things like that. So yeah.
100%. This is very reminiscent of back in season 1 of Premier League primetime. It was Fulham had just come up, and remember they just splashed 100 million just on just a bunch of players. They brought in a bunch of people in on loan, just players from all over the place, and they just more or less said, all right, cool, now make it work. And it didn't work, unfortunately. And they went back down. They went down, they did go down with the fight, but they weren't that good, were they? And I'm just seeing sort of the same sort of trend and pattern from Nottingham Forest here. Now, next, Southampton. This is a team that has struggled immensely this season. And of course, Jose has plenty of criticism for their manager, but going through these games as well, winning 2-1 against Chelsea, losing and now losses to Wolves, Aston Villa, Everton, and Manchester City, respectively. Scores and ratings for Ralph Hasenhüttl, and players have stood out to both positive and negative.
Did I not like him last time? Did I have criticism for Hasenhüttl last time?
We always have criticism of Ralph Hasenhüttl. Always.
Do I?
You
Do I
always.
really?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Well, anyways, I don't know. They've been pretty bad. Um, I think I just read the name of their best player and then I forgot it. I think their best player has been the German guy, Armel Bella-Kotchap.
He's been he's done
He
it
for me,
right.
he for me has been the best. Obviously, Ward-Prowse has been good, but he's always good. I think that they've been very poor though. The loss to Aston Villa and Everton specifically, I think they could have done a lot better in those games, and Wolves actually, because they've been pretty bad this season as well. I would say probably a 3 or no 2 out of 10.
That's fair. Player to add on there, Romeo Lavia, player that they signed from Manchester City.
Oh, yeah, he's young.
Yeah, he's a very young player, but he's come in and he's done well. And apparently Chelsea tried to bid 50 million for him on deadline day. And Southampton just was just like, what are you doing? We just signed him. I thought that was I found that quite hysterical. And I've been seeing numerous reports coming out from different sources that he's getting closer and closer and closer to the sack, and he's hanging on by a thread. If he gets sacked, who would be the ideal replacement to take over the Southampton job?
I think I always say this name, but the Burnley guy, Sean Dyche. I think I'd love to see that. I think that
An Andre favorite.
I also think that Southampton are really set up for his style. I think they can play. They can sit back. They have the defenders to do so, and they can play on the counterattack with quick forwards.
100%. Or Andre would probably suggest Thomas Tuchel because they have an excess of defenders, so that's already the big check, the big tick in the box there. So a good place for him. Who knows?
Southampton's too big of a club. They play really nice football. They look like prime Barcelona sometimes. Tuchel's sides never look like as good. Tuchel's side on their best day is not as good as Southampton on their best day. That's what I'm saying. They just have better days usually.
Of course. Next, into Tottenham Hotspur. And it's been quite mixed, although there's still more good than bad. The football is just beyond boring and dead from a neutral perspective, but I'll leave that for Andre to give his ultimatum on. A draw against West Ham, wins against Fulham and Leicester, a loss at the Arsenal at the Emirates, surprise, by 3-1, and a win against Brighton. Scores and ratings for Antonio Conte, and standout players for you both on the negative and positive side.
Yeah, we've had a few away games in a row there. And that's why I think that's a big reason why it looks so stale, just because Conte away days seem to be, they certainly follow a certain plan and certain it's kind of boring. I thought the win away at Brighton was really that was a big win. They haven't lost at home in 7 months. So that was a bigger one than it seemed like. Arsenal, I think I was right on with my prediction. I think I said 3-2, but it was like I think the North London derby is now, they're both such even sides where it's been for years now where the home team is just going to take the win in those North London derbies. So I wasn't looking forward to this one. Other than that, I think we're still sit third. We're right up there, arguably potentially in a title race. But yeah, I think it's been like an 8 for us.
100%.
Can I interject really fast? I just want to say that Tottenham are way better than Arsenal.
Well, number one, Tottenham aren't in a title race. I don't know where you got that from. Number two, no, not at all. I think Arsenal, arguably in the next 3 to 4 years, will have one of the best teams in Europe, especially with all the young talent they have.
Yeah, but we're talking about now, though.
Oh, still now they're better than Tottenham.
I don't know about that. I think right now they are, but here's the thing. I think Arsenal are finding results when they're in top form, which is typical. We're getting results when we're playing kind of bad. So when we hit our top form, when Kulusevski, Son, Kane starts clicking, then we're going to have our top form and we'll be right up there with you, City.
With the whole Tottenham and Arsenal thing, I think it's just when you look at these two sides, they're in two sort of different predicaments as of right now. Arsenal, they're building. It's not the rebuild that we hear every year. They're building up. Whereas Tottenham, they already have more of an established side, you could say, and they're just trying to make it better, just basically bring in more quality as Antonio Conte demands. And just now, standout players, positive and negative. There's for negatives, there's one name which definitely comes to mind, but I'll let you review him.
I like Emerson. Like, I don't understand why he's a scapegoat. He's just scapegoat. Emerson's good. Like, Davis, you want to say Emerson? I like Emerson. Okay.
I like Emerson too. I hope when we play Emerson starts at right wing back.
You should. Yeah, I think personally your whole defense is shit, if I'm being real. Like, I think
No.
yes, I think Lenglet is terrible.
Well, Langley is a different story. Eric Romero and even Dyer can be good.
I think Romero is decent, but is definitely.
Dyer's been good this season. As much criticism.
I think Romero is error prone. I think
Dyer's been very good this season.
Almost as error prone as Gabriel.
Yeah, honestly, I think they're the same player, except they don't have Saliba. That's the difference.
Here's the thing.
I don't
understand.
Better than Romero.
Yeah, 10 times better. It's not even debatable.
Saliba,
Biased.
But here's my thing, right? I know that Antonio Conte is just a very stubborn person. He's a stubborn manager, and I know with the Jed Spence signing, it was a club signing and not his signing, but he just gave the go ahead for it. But I mean, but the right wing back situation, if you're not going to play, Matt Doherty, then who's actually been okay this season, then why on earth are you? Then you may as well give then Jed Spence an opportunity to play and show himself, because I mean, unless if you want to continue to play, Chicken Royale at right wing back, then fine by me. But I'm not on board with the whole Chicken Royale thing.
I'm on the Andre train. I like Chicken Royale. I mean Emerson Royale. I do.
He should.
I mean, I hope he plays when Man United play Tottenham. I hope they do. And Rashford.
Okay. Here's the thing. I think Emerson is a really nice presence on the pitch, and when we're playing weaker sides, he's almost crucial. Like he's owning that right side. But as soon as we play a better team, then he turns to shit. He has no discipline.
That's because he is shit.
He's
always shit against better teams.
He's slowly increasing his own. He's one of those big players that just needs.
He reminds me of he's a Brazilian Wan-Bissaka. Actually, no, that's disrespectful to Wan-Bissaka. And Wan-Bissaka's better than him anyways.
If a player doesn't play good against good teams, that means he's mid. And also, our backup fullbacks are better than your fullbacks.
I mean, Arsenal aren't even playing with the right back. I mean, Arsenal are playing.
I'm so excited for Arsenal to go to the Champions League, and you can see how shit your team is. Oh my god.
Okay, well, number one, Ben White.
George Michael at right back. George Michael, man, like Ben
White's playing out of his mind.
Right back.
Even if Ben White starts to become shit, we have Tomaseo, and Tomaseo was amazing against Liverpool at left back. So imagine him at right back. We have Tierney.
I'm just imagining you playing against Real Madrid in a round of 16 again, losing 5-0, like it's Bayern in the old days.
That's okay with me. I just want Champions League. So we get shit on by Real. That's fine.
Anyways, getting back on track, getting into West Ham.
Real quick. Jeremy Hoyber's been our best player by far. By the way, it's gone under the radar, but he's been everywhere for us. So
who did you say? I didn't hear you.
Hoyber.
Yeah, he's had a good season. He's had a good season. I think the big games where he's been hit and miss at times, but he's been largely consistent this season. Kane's been largely consistent. Son really looks like he's picking himself up again, and I feel like who's on the right, whether it's Richarlison or Kulusevski, both of them just seem like they're even in terms of just like how well they've done this season. In my opinion, they're just kind of like equal with each other. I think it's like perfect competition to have of who takes that other position in the attacking trio. But now into West Ham, looking at their games so far, 1-1 against Tottenham, losing 2-1 to Chelsea, losing to Everton, and wins against Wolves and Fulham, and scores and winnings for David Moyes so far for this run of games. And serious standout players in your opinion, friend, positive and negative.
Yeah, I mean, it's better results than they started out with this season, that's for sure. Probably I don't know, 6. It's better. It's improvement. I thought, playing Tottenham, Chelsea, it's harder. You got a result against Tottenham. They always get a result against Tottenham. Losing against Everton, that's probably the one poor result out of the five. But wins against Wolves and Fulham, those are the teams that they know they can beat, and that's why they've been consistently in the Premier League. I honestly think that disappointing players, probably you have to say, I'd say Mikel Antonio. I feel like he has potential to be better. Only 2 goals, and 2 goals is how their top goal scorer. So they really are in need of more goals. And their most assists comes from Declan Rice, which I found surprising. Actually, I wouldn't think so. Maybe need more creativity, but that's why they signed Paqueta, who hasn't adapted yet to the Premier League. Another disappointing, but only 5 games. I think he has time. I thought he was. I think he's a decent player. I think he just needs time. So yeah.
I think Lucas Paqueta is a very good player. He's regular for Brazil as well. Great player for me. Great signing for West Ham. Jared Bowen and Gianluca Scamacca, they've also been coming in recently with some good form as well. Praise be to them for that. And now, last but not least, Wolves. Of course, Bruno Lage getting the sack after that. After the 2-0 loss against West Ham, and then a caretaker or whatnot took over for the Chelsea game. But Jose, looking at their results and run of games here, 0-0 against Bournemouth, a 1-0 win against Southampton, losing 3-0 to Man City, and then losses against West Ham and Chelsea, respectively. Scores and ratings for Bruno Lage. Now he's no longer there, and standout players both on the positive and negative side.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad.
One goal in the past 5 games.
What?
1 goal scored in the past 5.
Yeah, I know. So that's like, I think they're really missing their striker right now. But I still think that they could be doing better. I was also very against the Bruno Lage sacking. I really liked the way he had Wolves playing last season. I thought they looked really energetic.
I think the big change was going from that back 3 that we saw when he just more or less just got rid of Connor Cody, and he wanted to go to that back.
I did think the loss of Connor Cody was very big. But I think their worst players this season have been their attackers. So I would say Daniel Podence, Gonzalo Guedes, even Pedro Neto, just not looking like the players that they have in the past few seasons. Gonzalo Guedes for Valencia and the other 2 for Wolves. I think their best players have been their midfielders, so Ruben Neves and Joao Moutinho.
Mateus Nunes as well, coming in from Sporting.
He's looked all right. And then ratings, I would probably give them a 2 out of 10.
I agree. Who do you think would be the ideal replacement coming in for Bruno Lage? And I'm not going to mention a certain Spanish manager because you were highly against that as you did.
Well, no, I was against it because I think that he would be really good. So I actually would suggest him as much as I wouldn't.
He turned down the job anyways.
Yeah, he did, but I think that he would be the ideal person to take over because I think that when you give him a good defense, and especially I would love to see what he does with this midfield because he actually is a really intelligent manager and he knows how to use a team when he arrives at it. He basically had Sevilla leading the league in, I think it was the 2021 season. He essentially had Sevilla leading the league the entire year, and then a few of the teams finally caught up. But he did really well with Sevilla, and I liked this. I didn't like playing at Sevilla because it was very difficult, but I think that I did really like the job he did there.
100%. Who do you think would be a good person to come in for him?
To come in, I don't know. I don't have someone in mind that plays defensively that way so well.
Probably someone from Portugal.
Someone from Portugal. That Porto guy? What's his name? Is it Conceição?
I think so. I heard the
Porto
Sporting
manager. He was the Porto manager when Porto were like very far along in the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
He looked good, and that Porto team looked good. He may still be there.
Yeah, I think he is. I heard the Sporting Lisbon manager as well, but Sporting were demanding a huge compensation fee, like 25 million or something like that. That's huge for any manager, more or less saying he's not for sale. But I think Wolves just need they need a backbone. I think they have their midfield. I think they need to go back to the back 5. They don't see the back 4. They're too open for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like Chelsea, where it's like they keep trying to go back to the back 4, and the players just don't know how to play.
I agree with that 100%.
It's like Chelsea, and it's also like Juventus are also very similar because they were playing with the five back under Allegri for so many years, and then they were actually at their best when they were playing that. And nowadays they play the four, and they struggle so much. So there are certain teams who have the players kind of instructed at their core to know how to play in that five back, and then when they try to switch to the four, it doesn't really work.
100%. And now getting into the last part of our show, the match day 11 predictions going into it, starting off with the first game tomorrow, actually. Brentford hosting Brighton. Andre, I'll start with you. Predictions for this game.
Well, real quick, what do we think about Lopetegui like sniping Wolves or denying Wolves? Like what?
I don't really know what he's going for because it's like what better job is he gonna get?
Yeah, it's
I think the Premier League is always exciting. There's a lot of money there, like very competitive. I think he would do well with that team.
I think he could do very well with that side. He said it was for family reasons, according to him. But
I guess he's never. I don't think he's ever managed outside of Spain before.
That's a very good point that you make there. He hasn't managed outside of Spain. But getting right into the predictions, of course, starting with Brentford hosting Brighton. Andre, starting with you.
I'll go with 3-1 Brighton.
Jose, what about you?
2-1 Brentford.
And Sirius, what about you?
I agree with Joe.
All right, fair enough. Now on Saturday, the first game of Saturday, Leicester hosting Crystal Palace. Andre, thoughts on this game?
I'm gonna go 1-0 draw.
All right, Jose.
Agreed. That's what I was gonna go 1-0.
And Sirius.
Yeah, I agree with Joe.
Let's see if this trend will continue now for the remainder of the episode. Wolves hosting Nottingham Forest. I think that's actually going to be quite an interesting matchup. Jose or Andre.
I have 0-0.
I was gonna say the same thing. As soon as you said interesting, I was thinking it's totally not. I think it could be good.
Well, interesting meaning that they're evenly matched with each other, not that the game itself.
It's funny. I made all these predictions like 6 months ago. So.
Oh my
god. And Sirius, are we agreeing with Joe, or do you have your own prediction here?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 0-0.
Agreeing with you. All right, fair enough.
I like it. Great minds think alike.
Davis, you're not saying your predictions.
My predictions will come as a surprise. Some of you actually. For that game, Brentford hosting Brighton. I'll just give mine here right now. I'll say 2-0 Brighton because Brentford just can't score right now. They're just in a very poor run of form in terms of scoring goals. I'll say 2-1 Crystal Palace. And for Wolves, Nottingham Forest, I will do the classic Sirius, and I will go with the classic. I will copy Joe, and I will go with 0-0. I think that's just written all over this game. Neither team can score a goal right now, if you think about it. Fulham versus Bournemouth. Now, I think this actually is going to be a very interesting game. I think this one could be more entertaining as well. That at least more than Wolves and Nottingham Forest. Andre, starting with you.
Let's go 2-1 Bournemouth.
All right. Jose, what about you?
I have 1-1.
And Sirius.
I have 1-1 as well. I don't know how this is happening.
I will say 1-0 Bournemouth. It's going to be a very, very, very tight game. It could very well go either way. But I want to be, a bit controversial. I don't know. Next, Tottenham hosting Everton. Andre, thoughts on this match here?
Are we home?
Yes.
Okay. This might be an easy game. I'm gonna go 2-0.
2-0 Tottenham?
Yeah, 2-0. Yeah, Tottenham.
Okay. Jose, what about you?
I have 1-0 Tottenham.
Okay. Sirius?
I have 1-1 actually, Joe. So
I'll say 2-1 Tottenham for this game. Southampton hosting West Ham. Andre.
Ooh, let's go. I guess we can go 1-1. Fine.
Oh, that's quite interesting. Jose, what about you?
I had Southampton 0, West Ham 1.
Okay. And Sirius, over to you.
yeah, I agree with Joe.
I'll say 2-0 West Ham. Next, Man United Newcastle. I think this is actually gonna be a very interesting game. We see how well Newcastle have been this season, how well they've been playing. Andre, thoughts on this game?
Right, so it was Man United and Newcastle
Yeah, it's at Old Trafford.
at Old Trafford. Let's go. You know what? This let's go 3-2 United. I feel like it could be a thriller. It could be, yeah.
Okay. Jose.
I hope it's like that. I'll be in the stands. I have 2-2.
Fair.
Let's play two.
And Sirius.
I have 2-1 Man U.
And I will actually now do the copy saga, and I will say 2-1 Manchester United. Although again, this is another one that can go in any direction.
I think Gainaldo is going to score as well.
Well, obviously, PLPT does not promote any kind of hatred in any way. People.
Thank you, Jose, for that.
I'll say Penaldo. Oh, Joe, the things I could say right now.
Yes, as Jose says, Premier League Primetime does not condone that's any sort of hate speech. Now, next, Leeds hosting Arsenal. Andre.
Let's go 2-1 Arsenal.
Okay. Jose.
I have Leeds 0, Arsenal 3.
And Sirius, lastly, over to you.
Yeah, I agree as well.
And I'll say 2-0 Arsenal for this game. Aston Villa hosting Chelsea. Andre.
Let's go 3-0 Chelsea.
Okay. Jose.
This is probably the only prediction on here that I made in August that I disagree with now, but I'll leave it anyway. 1-1.
No, change it if you need to.
No, I stay true to myself. 1-1.
Okay. And Sirius, lastly to you.
I'm going to go 2-2. I'm going to say that Coutinho finally steps up.
Interesting take there. I'm not gonna lie. I'll say 2-0 Chelsea. And lastly, into probably the biggest game of the weekend, Liverpool hosting league leaders Manchester City. Trent Alexander-Arnold, no, he's not going to be fit for this game, as far as I know. So,
well, then Liverpool have a chance. Then
Andre, and starting with you.
This is a tough one. It seems like this is the result that would kind of save, Liverpool being kind of a banter side right now, but it's just hard to see City going down again. All right, let's go 3-2 City again. Yeah.
Jose, thoughts on that?
I mean, it's like Liverpool's defense has been so bad all season. Like, look what happened to our defense when we went against Man City. I think there's just no way they keep City down. I'm going 2-1 Man City.
That's fair. Sirius, what about you?
Dave, touch me if I'm wrong, but is Joe Gomez fit or no?
Joe Gomez is fit, and Premier League Primetime does not condone that sort of language either.
What? All right, I think Liverpool's gonna win 3-2. I'm sorry, Man City's gonna win 3-2.
I'll say 3-1 Manchester City, and there you have it. We have come to the conclusion that ends season 3, episode 3. It has been a long while. stick around to see what Premier League Primetime has for you in the coming future.
Thank you so much for your time watching this, and let us know in the comments down below what are your thoughts on the topics that have been in store in this feature of Premier League Primetime in the comments down below. Smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to check out our other platforms on Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and wherever you are watching this in the world. We hope you have an absolutely fantastic day/evening.